talking about episode 5, Endure and Survive, and this episode was very heartwarming. Like, you know, you see Henry and Sam, which now they're a brother dynamic in the show versus the game of a father-son, right? Don't get your panties in a twist. In the midst of an apocalypse, family always comes first. He's going to take care of his little brother. He's got to get him out of the city. At the same time, we have Kathleen and her people hunting him, and we also get to learn a little bit more of the backstory as to why she's hunting him. Henry took some medicine that would have cured her brother of leukemia, but somehow he needed it for something else, and so he ended up dying. And so Kathleen's got this vendetta against him. We also learned that her brother was a leader of their little rebellion group. Harry, who is Kathleen's right-hand man, who is also the voice actor for Tommy in the video game, he tells her, like, look, hey, your brother was a great leader, but he didn't change anything. You did. And so he fills her head with, you know, make America great kind of stuff. And, you know, she's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's go get Henry. And everybody's still on, like, yeah, let's get Henry. And so Henry meets up with Joe and Ellie. And so they're telling them, like, hey, you know, we need to get out of the city. Now, along with that, we also learn that Sam is nonverbal. He speaks through ASL, little, you know, writing pad. So we also learn that the doctor from episode 4 that Kathleen shot, he was, like, one of the ones helping them. He was a conspirator. Like, you know, like, this is the man in the high castle. He was helping them survive, and they only lasted about 10 days. So that's when they start sneaking around and trying to get out and meet Joe and Ellie. Henry ends up telling Joe, like, hey, you know, you need to get out of the city. We need to get out of the city. I know the city better because I'm a conspirator for these people, like, you know, which is a fancy word for rat. And so Joel's like, I'm not working with no rat. And he's like, look, man, you do you, I do me. That sounds like an issue problem. I got my problem. So they end up, you know, going through the tunnels and everything, right? And they find, like, this little bunker where people, you know, kind of survived in for long. We don't know how long they were in there, but we also see, like, there was kid stuff, and then, you know, gave the kids a moment to just kind of rest and be kids, right? Sam and Henry start bonding a little bit. Joe and Henry start to kind of, like, see each other on the same page. Like, okay, you know, you're not that bad, you know. Okay, let's work together. I guess we're already here at this point. Into this little town, and there's a dude sniping at him right from the distance. And so, of course, Joe being Joe was like, stay here. Do you trust me? I'm gonna go take care of that guy. And Ellie was like, okay, yeah. He goes around, sees an old man with a sniper, and he's like, look, man, all you gotta do, put the sniper down. We'll be on our way. That's all you have to do. Don't do it. And then in the distance, you hear a gunshot, and I'm like, oh, Joel, you put an old man down. You put an old man down. And so, you know, it turns out old man was working for Kathleen, and she was like, hold him there, Henry, or Anthony. Hold him there, Anthony. We're on our way. And I was like, great, here she comes with her big old crew. So Joel's telling everybody, like, run. This episode had a really good action sequence because, you know, the trucks are going after Ellie. Joe's sniping from the top, like Saving Private Ryan. And so he takes out the driver of that, like, big old monster dump truck, whatever, and ends up crashing into one of the, like, I think it was like a church or something. Crashing into that thing, and then ends up exploding, right? But then that creates the structure underneath to give way, and the truck starts going, like, underneath. And I'm like, oh, here it is. Here it is. Sure enough, the structure gives way, and then what comes out? A bunch of fucking zombies. And it's just, like, all over the place, and they're just like, you know, and they're just running out everybody, like, swarms of them. Swarms of clickers and runners and all of that. And I'm like, where's the big boy? Bring the big boy. And so, of course, everybody's, like, freaking out. They're taking out the people. And then out of the muck, right, you hear deep growling comes the bloater. And, oh, man, does he look good in person. Like, for the live action, he looked glorious. And he just steps out, and he's just like, Rah! I was like, yes! So he goes off, and he started beating everybody, swinging them around. And he's just, like, tearing left and right, tearing people in half. So then Perry and Kathleen are trying to go up against him, right? And then all of a sudden, Perry tells Kathleen, go, I'll hold him off. Turns around, the dude just grabs him. Pops his head off. And I was like, oh shit, they just killed Tommy. Well, the Tommy in the video game. They just killed Tommy. And so, like, to see that, like, how easy he just pops his head off and throws the body aside, I was like, yo. And then he just kind of turns around and just goes off with the crowd, and they're like, the zombies just keep coming from the ground, coming from the ground. And so I was like, yo. And then, so, all that's going on. Ellie's trying to escape. She gets into the back of, like, this, old station wagon. And this little girl, she's got already this thing on her head. And she's already becoming, like, half clicker, half runner. And she falls in and she starts, like, tumbling, like, kind of like a little gymnastic. I'm like, oh, no. I love kids. But in the midst of a pandemic and I see a kid zombie, I'm putting it over the fence. I'm not good with football, but boom, I'm about to be a star quarterback right there. Rolling over the seats real super easy. And I'm like, no, that is nightmare fuel. And so Ellie gets out, he leaves the thing inside, and I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe that's the last that we see of that, right? So, of course, she sees Sam and Henry underneath the car in kind of like a little crater getting attacked by some clickers. And I'm like, oh, this is the part. If you play the video game, you know what's coming. And so, sure enough, Ellie goes and she's like helping them, right? And they get out of there. And then Kathleen comes up and she's like, no, you're not going to get away from me. But who comes up in the back saving the day? The little gymnastic zombie girl. She just jumps on Kathleen, starts like tearing her apart. And I'm like, yes, all right, get that bitch out of here. Friends, they all run away. We're safe. Out for the night. Everybody's resting. The kids are playing. They're getting ready for bed. And everybody's just like, yo, what just happened? What the fuck just happened, right? And so Joe is telling Henry, like, hey, look, I don't know how I'm going to get to Wyoming. I'm probably going to be walking if you want to, join along. And Henry's like, yeah, no, that'd be great. And so Ellie and Sam are hanging out. And so they start talking. He's like, hey, what are you afraid of? She's like, I'm not afraid of anything but scorpions and blah, 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 right? But then Sam says, are you afraid of the monster that's inside you? And she was like, what? And he shows her his leg. He gets bit. Of course he gets bit, right? Because it was heartfelt in the game, and it's going to be heartfelt seeing this live action. And so she's like, no, my blood's medicine. So she shows him her scar, and so she tries to put her blood into him. And girl, that's not how that works. And so he's like, stay awake with me. She's like, sure. So, time passed. They wake up, and she sees him Sam's just kind of just staring off into the sun. Staring off into the sunset. And she's like, hey, what's going on? He turns around. He's like, ah! I was like, yo, Sam, no! And so he starts fighting her. And then she comes out. And so, Henry grabs the gun and he's pointing at everybody. And Joel's like, yo, whoa. And so, in the mix of everything, Sam just puts out Henry. And he's like, what did I do? And he's like, give me the gun. Let's talk about this. There's a lot of emotion. And I was like, oh, is he going to end it like the game? He's going to end it like the game. This is happening. And so he just, kills himself. I was like, no. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. But at the same time, I'm like, no, it's even worse live action. Like, a lot of these deaths in the game that we know are coming are going to be even worse live action. Season 2, we're looking at you. You're going to hurt us. We know it. And so, it was just like, wow. And I told my family, I was like, this one, you know it's going to happen. And it still hurts to see it. It's like, wow. So they end up burying Sam and Henry, and that's the end of their story. And at that point, Ellie is kind of just a little bit, I feel like she's a little hard on this whole situation, right? And she was like, let's go. Let's go. And Joe was like, all right. So they start walking off and on to episode 6. But this episode, started off kind of slow, and I was like, all right, let's see where this is going. Towards the end, we got that big action scene. Really loved it, by the way. Very good graphics. The CGI. The actors they get for the clickers and everything. By the way, sidetrack. We also finally get a name for the infected. Oh, you saw a clicker? I'm like, yes, we're finally using the names. So, that's cool. But overall, this episode was pretty great. I'd give it a solid 9. I'm excited to see what the rest of the season is. Let me know your thoughts. Did Sam and Henry's death hit you as hard as it did at the video game, or were you just kind of like, all right? If you're new to the series and new to Last of Us in general, how do you feel? For most of us who play the video games back in 2018 and have bought every single remastered version because it's just that good. I would invest in the game as well. I keep telling people, invest in the game. Play the first one, play the second one. They're both heartfelt. But yeah, guys, when I'm super glad we got it early because we got to deal with the Super Bowl, whatever. I'm not gonna be watching the Super Bowl, but I am gonna be trying to review all the trailers that are coming out. So I'm gonna wait for them to hit YouTube, and then I'll do some reviews. Let's see what happens this weekend. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed.